Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week. It's a Tuesday mashup because obviously Monday was the bank holiday here. So we pulled off the show yesterday with it being the bank holiday. We said we'd do it tonight. I haven't heard from Mark yet. I don't know whether he's forgotten. I did hit him up on WhatsApp. So if he appears in the background, I'll bring him on. But it's not like him normally to be late either, you know. But we've a few bits to go through tonight anyway, and we'll have a bit of crack on it. So make sure you're subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell notification button, and dropping a like on the video. We do have a couple of good shows coming up for you this week. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, we're going to be doing Pro Wrestling Weekly. So we're going to be taking a look at Mariah May leaving AEW, potentially jumping to WWE. We're going to obviously be talking about Carlito and R-Truth and Sarah Logan. We'll do a recap on Raw. We have the Money in the Bank coming up this weekend. So plenty to go through tomorrow night as well. Joining me, I think Sean will be there and Bren, as far as I know, on the panel. Thursday, we'll have Thursday tier talk, but it'll be kind of a little different flavor. Obviously, we're going to be taking a look at the World Club Cup. So we'll take a look at that as well on Thursday with Darren. We'll have a look at it again tonight as well. And we're trying to, Mark's working on an interview in the background as well. Won't give too much away, but it's about a player playing in the World Club Cup. He's the only Irishman playing in it, as far as we know. So hopefully we're going to try and get him on and have a chat before it all kicks off. See how he's getting on. He's up in San Francisco at the moment. It's a guy called Dylan Connolly. So Mark is talking to try and get that all set up. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, we tried. But he's the only Irishman, as far as we know, playing in the tournament. So into the chat we go. Dino's there. Big up, Dino. Up the lads. Fair play. The piss-boiling unbearables are about to become even more unbearable. Poor Greg should mute the group, I imagine. Is Mark hovering again or watching the birds speak? I don't know. I guess my only thing I can guess is he's forgotten or he got delayed or something, because we were talking this morning. We were actually talking about, he was telling me about hopefully setting up that interview with Dylan with a bit of luck. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, so we go through tonight as well. We got the Irish squad in there as well. We got a couple of friendlies coming up. Senegal on Friday night. And Tuesday, I think, is Luxembourg. So two interesting friendlies. Be interesting to see how the squad has progressed. Senegal will definitely provide a tough task. Not sure what squad they've brought over when they wouldn't have arrived probably at this stage yet, but hopefully the likes of Sadio Mane or something will be in there, you know. But we shall see. I'll just check here. I heard my phone hovering there in the background, so it might be WhatsApp. So let me check WhatsApp here for a minute, folks, and see if he's forgotten. You can hear the dog snoring there in the background and all. Hey. Did you hear them? Bum, bum, bum. Let me see. No bother. So Marky's caught up. So no hassle at all. Nation League semis predictions. I haven't, something I haven't even looked at it. You know that. I haven't even looked at it. I've been kind of consumed with trying to do the background work on this World Club Cup and stuff like that. No, give me your predictions, folks. Give me your predictions. But big up Ranmak. I think that's how you pronounce it. If I pronounce it wrong, let me know. But welcome to the chat and all. Thanks for joining us. So we're gonna have a quick chat as well tonight about United. Obviously, news of Bruno staying, talk of Cunha more or less signed at this stage, and also Buemo, apparently Brian Buemo from Brentford going in as well. Yeah, so we will have a chat about United tonight as well. I was hoping Marky would be on. We'll also have a talk. We're going to take a reflection back first, folks, on the Champions League final as well. But before we do that, don't forget the sponsors of the Monday/Tuesday mashup. whenever it's on, of course, is Hogan Elite Trophy, where check out Mark there with some of the Leeds legends from the previous match we were at. But go over, follow Hogan Elite Trophy here on Facebook or Instagram. And make sure you give them a follow or a like or a share. And of course, if you do have that special occasion coming up where you need the trophies, get on to Mark, and Mark will look after you. He'll hire out the trophies and all that kind of stuff and give you a good deal on them and stuff like that. So there you go. And they've been moving around the country steadily. I think yesterday or this weekend he was saying they were down in Cork. I think it was. So, but I'm sure he'll keep us up to date next time he is on anyway. But if you could, folks, Hogan Elite Trophy here on Instagram and Facebook, give it a follow. Right, let's go back to this. The Champions League on Saturday night. Massive build up to this. Could PSG get over the line this time? First time and stuff like that. Would Inter Milan get over the line again after hitting the bar so many times and stuff like that and all? But it was very clear from the outset in this match that there was a huge gap between both these teams. I think Inter have had quite a tough season. There was a lot of pressure on there in relation to their Serie A season. Napoli, of course, getting over the line last weekend. So Inter would have been really disappointed in that. But also then going into this game, this was obviously going to be a big one for them, Champions League final and stuff like that, all the history and stuff. And I just think it was so tough for them. You look at that PSG side, the way they moved the ball around, the blend of that little bit of experience and youth and everything else, and it being their first time to go and win it and all. It was massive. The celebrations were massive. And I have to say, I didn't really have a card in the game. It didn't matter to me really who won it and stuff like that. But at the end, to see that emotion from Luis Enrique and all, who lost his daughter and stuff like that, heartbreak and stuff, and you can see there, the tifo that they put together was spectacular. And to see he put the shirt on at the end and stuff like that and all. And it was so emotional. I mean, fair play to him to be able to speak at it and stuff like that. I would have been in tears. But it was amazing to see. For so many years, they tried to win this tournament. This was the tournament that they wanted to win. And for so many years there with Mbappe and Messi and Neymar and all these marquee names and stuff like that, they couldn't get it done. And the time that they get it done, they have such a blend of youth and stuff like that. And even that kid, Mayulu, who came on at the end, who got the goal with Bradley Barcola with the assist. And only a kid, and Due, who played as well, was fantastic with 2 goals and an assist as well. Absolutely phenomenal. Dembele, of course, didn't get a goal. Probably would have loved to get a goal, but certainly got 2 assists. Vitinha controlling the midfield. And they just, in the first half, they just got so overrun in midfield. It was unbelievable. This was boys against men, but not in the way that we would normally do it, And just Laturo looked out of the game. Thuram looked out of the game. And to be honest with you, you watch some of the watch-alongs with the Inter fans and stuff like that going absolutely crazy. And this could have been 7, 8, 9-0, really. Paris Saint-Germain were just so dominant at times. Hakimi with the first goal, such a simple goal, break into the box, ball across the gap and a tap in, you know what I mean? And with Italian teams, you normally pride them on their defending, especially with this Inter team. This Inter team, generally knows how to put up 2 banks, defend, and then hit you on the break and kind of nick stuff. And also, I think we thought going into this game that it would either be, a 1-0 to Inter, shut down, trying to go in the game, or else it would be a big scoreline, and it was a big scoreline, 5-0. The worst result, I think, in the history of the Champions League and stuff like that and all. And Inter now have to shoulder that. And to see the AC Milan fans going through Milan with the coffin, with the Inter coffin, as if the club had died. And you could see it in the players as well. They were bamboozled at times. The senior players were just could not figure out what was going on. DeMarco at the back all over the place. the boy Summer in goals, who's normally really, really good and solid, just picking the ball out of the net. And even when you listen to Enrique, and he was talking about how they didn't celebrate till the fourth one went in, because you just never know in these things what might happen. But once the fourth one went in, it was absolutely sailed. And, to see the celebrations on the pitch, to see those kids so happy, and PSG to get over the line, and the ownership and everything. And then, of course, you get the violence back in Paris and stuff like that and all, and people lost their lives, and we have to remember those people, obviously, and all, that it's not a celebration for everyone, So really, really sad from that point of view. But look, a huge win for PSG. Welcome to the club. And this team, with its age profile and stuff like that, could potentially kick on and dominate even further, So be interesting to see. Dino in the chat. Congrats to PSG, best team in the comp by a country mile this season. Always said once they got a manager with balls and rid of the poison that was running the club, that they would come good. By poison, I mean Neymar and Mbappe. Yeah, we know. Mercenaries, they were all about themselves. Absolutely. Shocking to see Fabian Ruiz left out the Champions League team of the year for Declan Rice. Yeah, Fabian Ruiz was... He was everything that he brought to that midfield, wasn't he? I mean, it would be hard to bet against that midfield. I assume Declan Rice went in on the back of the performance against Madrid and the goals that he scored, but very hard to pick anyone out of that. That PSG midfield was unbelievable. And it's now up to the rest of us now to strengthen and develop and get stronger and come back and raise a bigger challenge to them this year. But it was a fantastic spectacle, and there's just something really magical about the Champions League, really, And I think the format and all lends itself to some interesting outcomes and stuff like that, and some interesting matchups. But we should see this season now coming, how it looks when they do the draw and lay it all out and stuff like that, and how the teams are all ranked and everything and all. It'll be interesting to see. Absolutely. But that was the Champions League in the bag. Congratulations to PSG. Absolutely phenomenal performance. Just, they just couldn't deal with it. They couldn't deal with it at all. And frustrating if you're an Inter Milan fan. Probably more at the scoreline. You can accept potentially losing, but losing in that way where you just looked absolutely roasted and exhausted must have been really, really tough. Vitinha, player of the tournament for me also. Yeah, he was. I thought Dembele as well, absolutely outstanding. But I think very hard to separate the players on that team. They were all brilliant. Dembele obviously coming in more in the new year, coming into his own, and they kicked on from there. And they're just one of those teams. They obviously just peaked at the right time, because they weren't great in the league phase of it. They struggled. They struggled in the first half of the year. But once they hit the new year and they found their rhythm and they found that mix, and he tweaked a few things, Luis Enrique, an absolute master of football and stuff like that. They found their rhythm and they grew in confidence, and the younger players were growing in confidence all the time. And there you go. When you get that blend in there, magical things can happen. So there we go. Very hard to separate the player of the tournament, isn't it, really, when you think about it? But yeah, absolutely. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Right. I want to talk next about, we'll talk about Ireland. Two big friendlies coming up again where we can look into it. And of course, we're going to talk about Caoimhín Kelleher as well, who left Liverpool today, formally unveiled by Brentford. I think it's a great move for I wouldn't have wanted him. I would have loved him to stay and potentially over time become a number one at Liverpool. But I think for his own career, and I think for his own international career, I think he needed to be in that number one position. And I think at Brentford under Thomas Frank, I think he'll flourish and become even better. I've said it time and time again, he's the best number two, and not even a number two, a number 1A, if you like. He's the best in the league for me in terms of that goalkeeping combination that we have. Very, very difficult to take Alisson out of the team, except in an injury situation. But when Caoimhín has come in, and me and Dean on the chat there have done so many podcasts on this, I never worry whatsoever when Allison is injured and Quavine comes in, because I really rank them very, very high together. So great that he got his move, and I think what that does as well is, depending on how it works out, and I think it'll work out well, but what it does is cements Quavine Kelleher in there now as the number one goalkeeper for Ireland. I don't think there's much to really say on the actual squad. I don't think there's a lot in there that's changed. One or two additions, obviously, we spoke about. The boy who's in there, Troy Paris, is having a good season at AK's at Alkmaar. Evan Ferguson probably needs to kick on a little bit, has had an indifferent season. Casey McIntyre going in there, good to see him in there. Ryan Manning. But a lot of players in there at the moment. It's gradually becoming, I think, quite a settled side. Good to see Josh Honohan in there, of course, out of the League of Ireland. So nice to see representation in there as well. We spoke up the League of Ireland so many times as well. But I think they have I think they'll have a tough task ahead of themselves. Senegal aren't going to be any pushover. Senegal are a very, very good team. And they will come here with a strong team as well, because I know I think their next game then they're playing England, I think, in a friendly probably on the Tuesday as well. So we have Luxembourg then on the Tuesday, who can, if given the opportunity, cause us problems. But good to have these two games. Timing of it is always tough, especially with some of the players in there, the likes of Nathan Collins and stuff, and some of the others who've had long seasons, probably they're thinking the last thing they need is international games. But obviously the manager needs to be able to take a look at them and stuff like that. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What are you thinking? What are your predictions for these two games? Ireland, Senegal first, and Ireland, Luxembourg. I think Senegal's going to be a tough one to back against, even at Lansdowne. I think they have some serious ballers in there. I think the Luxembourg game will be more of an indication. So I'm going to go for a tight win, and people won't like this. Tight win, probably to Senegal. And I think with Luxembourg, I think we might just shade it. That's what my predictions are for the Ireland games. But let me know yours in the chat. Dino, didn't want Quavine to go, but can't say anything but thank you. Those cup finals he won us. Never once doubted him, and all the best to him. Best number 2 in the world. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. And I think it's mad, isn't it, Dino, to see the difference in a player who leaves the right way, and the comparisons, and there's no shifting and there's no badness. There's, look, thank you. We love you. You're welcome back at Liverpool anytime, and thank you for everything that you did, and go there and rock it out at Brentford. And, I'm really looking forward now. I think I'll look to see, when the fixtures come out, I think in 2.5, 3 weeks or whatever it is, I'll be looking to see when we play Brentford and stuff like that. I'm going to be very interested to see that. Look, I just hope he does absolutely brilliant. And I think under Thomas Frank, I think he'll do excellent. So really happy, really, really happy for him. Right, what else do we want to get into? We're going to talk, let's talk United. So news today obviously broke. Obviously Bruno's going nowhere. He's decided to stay. I think he gave an interview tonight on the back end of the Portuguese press conference. And he basically made the point, say that he spoke to management. They didn't want him to go. He spoke to Ruben. He didn't want him to go. The club didn't want to sell him. So he's going nowhere. On the back of a massive offer from Al Hilal, I think it was, in Saudi Arabia. They were looking to pay him something like 700 grand a week or something like that. I think the whole package was about 62 million or something like that. And there was a massive signing on tape and everything else. And just 1 second. Right. Oh. See the goose off the fall. And there was a massive signing on fee as well. And I was quite shocked by this as well. But like we've had a similar situation ourselves. We did it last year with Mo Salah. Apparently massive offers on the table from Saudi Arabia, was turned down. We felt we wanted to keep him. People had different opinions on that at the time, but obviously it worked out very well for us because obviously he was our talisman in terms of the push to win in the league this year. And obviously, if he had a went, we never know what the money might have been spent on and who might have come in. Yeah, so we'll never know if adequate replacements had to come in to maybe go anywhere near his GA that would have pushed us over the line. It would have been really, really difficult. But hard to know again with this, and obviously with the GA and the work rate that Bruno provides in that Man United side, absolutely massive. I think he's either 30 or 31 this year or something like that. So they must have looked at it. And obviously with not getting the Champions League spot through the Europa League final, obviously there would have been a lot of decisions to be made in terms of that valuation. Should they cash in on Bruno and get the 100 million from that? That they didn't get through the Europa or whatever it is, but they decided not to do it. United fans very happy at the moment. Obviously, Cunha going in there. It looks like Mbeumo's on his way there as well. Talk that Mbeumo turned down Newcastle. I don't know whether it was he turned down Newcastle or Newcastle turned him down. I know there was talk about the salary and stuff like that. The talk going around today was he's on 45,000, I think, at Brentford, and he was looking to quadruple that up to 180, basically. Now, whether that's what United pay him or not, I don't know. Maybe Newcastle were miles away from that. I'm not too sure. I don't know. The detail always gets flung around anyway. But it looks like he's on his way to United. I think these are two good signings for United. They produced really, really good numbers. And if they could take those numbers into United, that will make a huge difference to United next season, obviously. This is where they really, really struggled in terms of you had Bruno doing his thing, but you'd very little really outside of that. Rasmus struggled, Xerxes struggled, Garnacho struggled. They all struggled really, basically, So it was going to be always going to be a tough season for them, finishing up down there in 15th. So their goal now is to bring that back up into the top 10 and potentially push on to a top 7, top 8 finish or whatever it is the European spots are next year. So obviously they're making moves really, really quickly. Obviously there's a lot still to be resolved there. Lots of players there like Rashford and Garnacho supposed to be moving on. The boy you see there, Sancho, obviously bad news. In getting the good news about Bruno staying, you also got the bad news, obviously, about Sancho coming back as well. Couldn't agree a deal with Chelsea, which I think most people were shocked about as well in terms of, I don't know whether the money was too far off because obviously going back to United, potentially there's a cut there to be done because obviously no European football and all that. So broadcasting rights, sponsorship revenue all gets cut, so obviously salaries get affected as well. But at staying at Chelsea, he could have gone off to play in the World Club Cup. He'd also have Champions League football, and also you look at Chelsea at the moment in top 4. Another little sprinkling of signings in there. They're linked with the boy Mannion of AC Milan today, the goalkeeper, which would be huge for them as well if they can get in a centre back. And potentially a forward as well. They probably wouldn't be that far off a push for a title race. So maybe he might be disappointed going forward, depending on how the Chelsea project runs out. But obviously he was valuing the salary much higher than that and stuff, and didn't obviously get what he wanted. They couldn't come to terms. Send him back to United. Paid the 5 million fee that was in the contract for sending him back. And now it's just another headache for United to resolve to get him out the door, either on a loan or get him out the door on a sale. Don't see him fitting into. I think he could potentially fit into the Amarin play, but I don't think he'll fit into the Amarin mindset in terms of what he demands for work rate and stuff like that. Listen, if R2 won't take a pay cut, why should Sancho? Absolutely. Listen, if you're contracted and that's what you're going to be paid, it's down to the club to pay it. They can't cry after the fact if this is what they threw on the table. But I think most people would be disappointed. I think even Ian today, Ian was a little bit disappointed. I think he thought he'd keep him and stuff like that. He had a good showing in the final and stuff like that. And then in certain moments throughout the season as well, he looked more like the Dortmund Sancho that we knew and stuff like that. And, I did say to Ian even after the final, after winning, maybe this is the thing, you know, winning a bit of silverware. Maybe this is the thing that spurs you on up another level and get you motivated again for a lot of those players in there that they could kick on even further this season. But obviously, not the case here. So they're going to have to deal with him. I don't see him hanging around Old Trafford. I really don't. I don't see that being the case. I think they'll get him out. I don't think Amarin needs to roll the dice on that potential headache. I thought United were getting away from the mega money deals. Seems to be that they bear the opposite. And saying that, and Buemo was a great signing if it happens. Yeah, I think so. And to be honest with you, I don't think Newcastle were going to be anywhere near the 180 grand a week. I don't know what the fee is. I haven't read about the fee, but he's going into his last year. So, I don't think the 180 grand a week. I don't even know if United had pushed it that far in the agreement, but we'll find out. The details of it will come out eventually. But this is what I read. This is what he was looking for. This was the starting point. But we'll keep an eye on it. But United out of the blocks very quick. Obviously, they would have been very disappointed in Liam Delap choosing Chelsea and going there. That was a boy they wanted in. Obviously, huge ceiling on the boy. You know, had a decent season with Ipswich, obviously getting relegated, but he played pretty well throughout the season. Good showing for himself. So that would have been disappointing. And then obviously all the talk that Bruno over the weekend and the bank holiday, the talk would have been that Bruno would be heading to Saudi. That the offer was just too good. Between talking to his family and representatives and everything, the deal was there to be had, but they just didn't take it. So we'll see. We'll see if that bears the fruit that the Mo Salah one for us this year bears, you know. Will that be a statement that I'm staying, you know, and will that be a kind of an indication to the players in there in the squad as a captain that this is what you need to do when you dig into the trenches and you have to figure things out and stuff like that. So we shall see. But we'll keep an eye on it, no doubt, over the next couple of days. I think, well, we got 7 days left before the window closes, the mini window. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But certainly United making waves early in the transfer window, you know, and still capable of bringing players in. And these two boys were two standout boys last season in the Premier League. And now rivals will turn around and throw shade and say, you're shopping at Brentford and you're shopping at Wolves. These are two good ballers, you know. You have to say when you have to say. Luke Chapman's in. How are you, Luke? Good to see you, man. Northampton Town fan. Thanks for joining us, pal. Make sure you join in there in the chat and stuff like that and all. Make sure to chat. Welcome Luke in. I think it's his first time in as well. So appreciate it, Luke. Thanks for joining us. What else have we got? This story broke today, and I thought this had all gone away, this whole thing about, you know, if you have ownership in a club and you're within another club as well that has qualified for the same European tournament, that depending on where you finish in your league, you can get chucked out of the tournament. And I think Crystal Palace had to go and have a meeting with UEFA today. I think they're linked in with Leon and Bromby. And the talk was that potentially they could have got chucked out of the Europa, with potentially Brighton taking their spot. But I mean, this didn't happen. I think they forgot this with wasn't it Man City with Girona, and I think they also did the same thing. Did they do the same thing with United and with Nice or something like that? So I don't see this being a big deal. I fully expect Crystal Palace, first time winning a trophy, you know, the FA Cup and going into Europe and stuff like that. God help them if they were to throw them out of Europe after all that. And then talk of a lot of players leaving and stuff like that. A lot of players being linked with big moves. Adam Wharton, Eberici, and Mateta as well. Actually, United looking at Mateta. Apparently, he has quite a low fee to get out of there. I think he's entering his last year. I think, and I think they're looking. I think the release is 30 million. 30 million is a snip from Mateta. So that could be good business as well. But I think he was leaning towards staying at Crystal Palace and wanting to continue with the project there at Crystal Palace, and especially going into Europe and stuff like that. So he wasn't in a hurry to leave. But if anything was to come out of this, and I don't expect it to come out of it, but if anything was to come out of this, and especially if Palace were to lose their European spot to Brighton, that might change the thinking of a number of players who want to stay there and see it out and keep on this cool journey that Crystal Palace are on in Europe, which would be really, really cool. But we'll see how it develops. I'd be very disappointed if Palace got thrown out of it and the spot was given to Brighton, especially with the moves, as I said earlier, from Man City and Man United as well, where they work through it and stuff like that. Now, so we shall see. We'll keep an eye on it, but I think it's one of those paper stories that's just filling space because football news at the moment is quiet enough, bar transfers and stuff like that. Right, let's talk a little bit of League of Ireland and have a chat about this now. We're at the halfway stage, pretty much at this stage. Bohemians picking up a big win, 1-0 against Derry at the weekend. Cork drawing 1-0 with Shelbourne. Shelbourne again, that draw, that Achilles heel there at the moment. Too many draws happening at the moment. And beginning to get a little bit detached. The gap now 9 points. Waterford drawn 2-2 with Drogheda. And Sligo getting beaten 1-0 by St. Pat's. St. Pat's bouncing back. Stephen Kenny spoke about that, so it was important to get that win. And I'd say the clean sheet was important as well. So I think Sligo the previous week had a good result. I think, did they beat Galway or draw with Galway? I think they beat Galway, I'm not too sure. And then Rovers down the bottom, of course, who would have been disappointed. 0-0 against Galway. But we said Galway, very, very good at the moment, playing really, really well. Grinding it out and stuff like that. That would have been a tough game going there. Rovers would have been hoping for the win there. So at the moment, at the halfway stage, Rovers out of the blocks, 36 points, leading the league by 6 at the moment from Drogheda and Bohemians, 7 from St. Pat's, and 9 from Shelbourne and Derry. So it is looking a little bit ominous. Obviously, last year they started quite slow. But this year they're very much out of the blocks, and we know that Shamrock Rovers get very, very strong in the second half of the season as well. I watched the game a few weeks ago against Drogheda, and it was like boys against men, especially that second half. Shamrock Rovers were absolutely sublime, and they made I think Drogheda at the time might have been the league leaders or thereabouts, but they made them look really, really, really ordinary, and it felt like a top of the table 6-pointer as well. Rovers coming out on top, really, really dominant. So signs are ominous there at the moment. Okay, 6-point gap and stuff like that, with games to be played and stuff. Bows after coming very strong as well in third place there as well. But the champions struggling at the moment to defend their crown. 9 points off the top, and struggling in terms of results. Just too many draws. If we went to Division 1, my own team is in there. Bray Wanderers picked up a win, 3-1 against Finn Harps. Cove as well, 2-1 against Trady. Kerry won 2-0 against Longford. The Students beat at Lone, bottom of the table, 2-0. And Wexford obviously thought they were actually cruising against Dundalk at one stage. But ended up losing. Ended up losing 3-2, I think it was, in the end. To that score there is actually wrong. I just realised that. Ended up beating Wexford in the end, I think 3-2. And looking really, really strong now in the league. Dundalk, as far as I know, still unbeaten. They've come back a couple of times now from interesting results where it looked like they were down and out. A few weeks ago against Bray as well. Bray were within minutes of beating them, even being down to 10 men up there in Dundalk. But Dundalk look like they want to continue this vein of going invincible this year. John Temple has spoke about it and stuff like that. Mark has been talking about it as well. But it's going to be very, very tough to stop Dundalk winning the Division 1 this season. They just look so strong now. 7 ahead of Bray and 6 ahead of Cove Ramblers, and they don't look like they're giving up soon. Interesting down the bottom as well. Still quite tight there between. You go from Kerry down to Athlone, separated by 4 points. So all it takes is for a team to go on a bit of a run and pick up a few results, or a team to drop off in a few results, and you can find that it's just changing down there all the time. The Students are starting to detach themselves away, along with Treaty. and Wexford, obviously, and stuff like that. The gap now 4 points to those bottom 4 teams. So that's it at the halfway stage. So it's going to be interesting to see when it comes back to the League of Ireland. It's what it's going to look like and stuff like that. But certainly very, very exciting, especially for some of those places and stuff like that. But at the moment, Rovers and Dundalk really leading the way, and Sligo and Athlone really, really struggling. So that's your League of Ireland round up. So what else do I want to go to? World Club Cup. Obviously, want to talk about this. Really, really. I'm kind of people are indifferent about this at the moment. I'm kind of looking forward to this. The boy that Mark is talking to, he plays for Auckland City, so he's in. So Dylan's in a really tough group there. He's with Bayern Munich, Boca Juniors, and Benfica. Imagine being in that. Hey, go, buddy. Dog over there, snoring his head off. But yeah, he's in that group there. He's playing for Auckland City. I think they're based in San Francisco at the moment for the tournament. But they're in a group of Bayern Munich, Boca Juniors, and Benfica. So hopefully we get that interview with him. It's not sorted yet, but Mark is working on it. But we'd love to talk to Dylan and talk about the journey into the World Club Cup and all this kind of stuff and how it's going to go. If you look at it at the moment, kind of looking down through it at the moment, hard to call Group A. You're probably looking at some combination of Palmeiras, Porto, and Inter Miami, I'd imagine. Group B, probably PSG and Atletico. I can't see it being anything else. Group C, are we looking at Bayern and Benfica or Bayern Boca Juniors? Don't know. I know nothing about Auckland City. I will look at highlights later. But that's where that could be. Then you look at Group D. Group D is Chelsea's one. I think Flamengo and Chelsea will come through that one. Group E, Inter's in there, so you're looking at probably Inter and River Plate, I would imagine. Although hard to know with Euro Reds, because we've seen in the past how those teams can come up and bring a lot of heart, and what they lack in maybe skill and football knowledge, they make up for with heart and stuff like that. You're looking at Fluminense and Dortmund, I'd imagine, in Group F. That's what I would be thinking. Group G, are we talking Man City and Juve? And Group H. Group H will be Real Madrid. I'm not sure about Salzburg. They've been kind of indifferent this season. So it'll be interesting to see Al Hilal and see what that representation is like in there from the Saudi Pro League. They're the team, and they're the team that's chasing a lot of these players at the moment and stuff like that. So be interesting to see. Yeah, it's going to be. I'm really looking forward to following it. Actually, it's kind of like a little mini tournament, really. But there's a lot of money involved in this. A lot of money involved in it. So we're going to be following it through the podcast for the 4 weeks. Darren will be on Thursday, and he'll give his predictions in it as well. He might have a bit more information than me on some of those other teams in there. They're just not kicking out to me, basically, you know. So some of them I think reasonably obvious. But you never know. You always get upsets in these tournaments, and you always get teams that do really well, and you always see the next emerging stars and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. But that is the World Club Cup. Let me know what you think about it. Is it, a lot of people are calling it's another money grab, really, and all this kind of thing. But I like some of these tournaments. I think they're pretty cool. And it's nice to see. It's nice to see not only the English teams, but also the European teams out there being tested against potentially the South American teams and the teams from the other continents as well, because it's nice to see the different blend of football and just see what that gap is, because obviously we're clouded here in our judgment because most of us generally centralise around the Premier League. And, we obviously follow the Irish League here on the podcast as well, but we keep our eye obviously on Europe through the Champions League, the Europa and the Europa Conference. But we personally, me anyway, I don't have the time to be looking at Bundesliga and Serie A and La Liga and all that kind of stuff as well. We get kind of highlights of it and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. Interesting to see. If anyone from Group H could break Trent and Bell End in half, then I can offer you a 6-pack of Tato and a joint dairy milk. Oh, and a box of Lions tea bags. There you go. Good Lord, good Lord. Where are they actually? Where's the Real? There it is. Real, Al Hilal, RB Salzburg, and RB Salzburg. Isn't that where Pep Linders was? When he got let go. Now he's on the way to City. Wasn't he looking after RB Salzburg? Pachuca. Wonder what they'll be like. That could be interesting. That could be an interesting group because obviously Real haven't been that good this season at all. Massive drop off. Obviously Ancelotti going and Alonso going in there. So it'll be interesting to see what Alonso wants to do. Is he gonna, will he have some new players in there as well to blood and stuff like that? Will he play a different kind of way, or will he just roll with it to go into the summer and maybe the second transfer window maybe do business? I know they paid Liverpool. They played about my team and Dino's team, Liverpool, 10 million to get Trent in there early enough. That's how much it meant to them and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how that pans out. But like I said, we'll be bringing you updates on all the podcasts here, both on the Monday and on the Thursday, along with all the transfer news throughout the summer as well. And like we said, we're working to get interviews in and off, loads of stuff like that. Off the wall, Real Madrid are taking the competition very seriously. Absolutely take it very seriously. There's huge money on the line here as well. Did I read the winner's getting about 100 million? Is there 100 million up for grabs if you win it or something like that? That's big bucks, like, you know what I mean? Like, you get yourself two really, really good players into your squad for that money and a project player potentially, you know what I mean? So absolutely take it really, really serious. And especially for Real Madrid as well. Like, they've had such a poor season as well. This might put a little bit of shine on what was a poor season. But plenty of teams in there that could do with spending that 100 million and stuff like that. They're not going there just to make up numbers. And there's a real nice blend in there as well. There's teams that we don't know a whole lot about at all. And there's teams down through history, the likes of Boca Juniors and all, and Fluminense and all that kind of stuff that we wouldn't know about. But it's going to be interesting to see some of the teams in Saudi and other areas of the world and what they look like and how they play, and is there potential signings in there or players that could come through that could be stars of this tournament and stuff like that could find themselves landing big financial contracts potentially in the Premier League or in the European leagues and stuff like that. Are we going to see the next unbelievable 18-year-old baller or whatever it is and stuff like that and all? And so it's exciting from that point of view, and I always like to watch the tournaments from that point of view as well. So there we go. That's the World Club Cup. That's basically all I have for you tonight, folks. I really wanted to get Mark's thoughts on Man United, so we'll get it next time he's on, but we'll certainly get Darren's on Thursday. I know Darren has plenty to talk about in relation to United and what else he sees unfolding and who else he'd like to see go in. I'm also going to get his thoughts on how he thinks they're going to set up. I asked him today, with Bruno staying now, where does he sit into the formation if you're going with Cunha and Buemo? If Rasmus goes and, who comes in there, then who's that focal point at the top? Is there potentially, like, obviously we're seeing Flecken going out the door as well, went to Leverkusen, with Quivine going into Brentford and stuff like that. I wonder where a lot of teams sleeping on that Flecken, a very good keeper as well. You know what I mean? It's mad to think that he went through obviously the deal was done, but leaving the Prem and stuff like that, where there's a number of Premier League teams in there actually could do with a decent keeper. Obviously we spoke earlier about Chelsea being linked with Mike Maignan now of AC Milan, who's a very, very good keeper and stuff like that. But Flecken could have gone into some of these teams and done a really, really good job. I know myself and Darren have spoke highly about him throughout the podcast this season. He's done a real good job in there. The Zone signed Gary Lineker for FIFA World Club Cup. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. I wonder had he got that in the background. And like there was a big offer there from the Zone. Don't know. It's mad the way these people move around, isn't it? Mad the way they move around. Has anyone here? What about is Rio? Is Rio staying? Are TNT covering this at all, or is it just the Zone? Or who's covering? Where's Rio find himself? He finished up on TNT at the Champions League and stuff like that. So is he heading that way as well? Is he going to be part of that Gary Lineker thing? We shall see. You know, so no doubt he's going to be covering that on one of the channels anyway. So we shall see. But folks, that's it. That's it. Join me again tomorrow night. I'll be here from 8 o'clock with the panel. We'll be talking all things pro wrestling, all the moving parts, everything that's going on, the movers and the shakers. We'll be previewing Money in the Bank. We'll be recapping on Monday Night Raw. It was a decent episode this week as well. Much more improved from what we had seen. Steven Gerrard back in TNT Sports. Yeah, I've seen that, yeah. Gave a very good account of himself as well, Acers. I thought he was really good. I thought he was really technical in his breakdowns and stuff like that as well. Thought Stevie did a real good job the other night, I have to say. And pointed out some things that maybe the boys wouldn't have pointed out and stuff. So it's really cool. But yeah, so obviously join me tomorrow night if you can, folks, at 8 o'clock. If you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, of course, to be alerted when we go live. Drop a like on the video, share the content, make sure you're liking and subscribing and following Hogan Elite Trophy Herd again on Facebook and on Instagram. If you do have that special occasion, Mark will hook you up. Make no mistake about that. We do have a big game coming up, I think on the 21st, I think, of this month, I think it is. We'll be previewing that next week. There's no doubt about it. It's a Premier League 11 versus Airfield 11, and that's going to be a fantastic. The lineup is absolutely insane. David James, Jason McAteer, Keith Gillespie, Ian Hart, Stephen Carr, to name but a few. Yap Stam, I think, is there as well. There's a bunch of them there. You'll see it on the poster. If you check it out, go on to Airfield and check it out and stuff like that. I think there's still tickets available. They're doing a meet and greet. I think there's a dinner that evening, and they have the match as well. And the value, folks, it's unbelievable, the value. You will pay for the whole day. You would pay to meet one footballer doing a meet and greet in town on one of the bars and stuff like that. Great value. I'm going to be there. I think Dino's going to be there. I'm nearly sure Darren's going to be there. There's going to be a few of us there representing the podcast, doing interviews with people, all that kind of stuff, bringing you the content, having the crack on the day. All for a very good cause and stuff like that. So make sure you check that out as well. And if you're around, folks, come to the game, support whatever cause they have there and stuff like that. But come up to us as well and have a chat with us. Tell us that you follow and you watch the podcast and all. And always good to put a face on people and stuff like that and have a bit of crack. What's the crack, Daz? Hope you are good, my friend. I am all good, brother. Liking this decompression down from the end of the season and stuff like that, but enjoying the transfer window as well. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Hey, Niall and chat, big up as always. Big up, Ever. It's good to see you, my friend. Glad that you're in the chat there. We're just about to finish up. It was a quicker show tonight because Marky couldn't join us. Obviously, I was looking for his opinion on a number of things. So that's it. 8 o'clock tomorrow, pro wrestling. 9 o'clock Thursday, back into the football again. Talk to you again real soon, folks. Have a great evening.